It's me again with my crappy webcam to record yet another video. Um, I honestly don't know why this thing doesn't record as smoothly as it used to, but there it is. At any rate, um, well, just started watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Already got to part 2, episode 6, I think. So yeah, it's oh god, leaps and bounds better. I'll tell you that. Plus, that little pen is like beyond freaking adorable. Uh, oh god. Seriously. But, yeah. Topic for this time is going to be movies in general. Now, this is a topic, it's going to be a mix of two topics. It's one that I said that I was going to be doing at the beginning of the year, and I kind of missed out because of other stuff popping up. So I want to do it now. But there's another one that I said I was going to do months ago that I never was able to get around to doing. So we're going to talk about that. And the topic in general is the concept that things created over there cannot be adapted over here. And yet, similarly, things that are created over here cannot be adapted over there. Now, the second is actually a smaller hillbilly, but it does exist. But it's a belief that things that are created in, say, Japan, China, etc., cannot be adapted over here in the United States of America due to the fact that we have a Western mindset and therefore we are unable to grasp whatever the heck they were trying to do. Now, I'm going to call BS right there because, first and foremost, in that case, you can never really appreciate this. You, the viewer, you, the fan of whatever they're adapting, you can't appreciate what they're adapting. You can't possibly. Because you have a Western mindset. You grew up in a Western home. You grew up over here. So you can't even appreciate this, let alone understand it. So what are you doing watching it? Why bother, right? I mean, that's essentially what you're saying. That we are incapable of understanding it because we have that mindset. So what? You're going to say that you and you alone have an Eastern mindset or something? Is that what you're going for here? And similarly, what about stuff from over here that goes over there? I know some people who seem to think that they don't butcher our stuff. Well, that ain't true. I mean, look at what they did to Spider-Man. Look at what they've done to some of the Marvel stuff. On the other hand, they've also gotten some of it good, so it's clear that they don't have the inability to understand how things work over here either. The problem is finding someone who cares, someone who will take the time to read it, to watch it, to understand it. And sadly, that is just so hard to find. It really is. But I think it can be found, and I think it can be done. Let's not forget, people, that Dragon Ball Evolution was written and directed by a man who was, in fact, Chinese and spent half his life, including his childhood, in Hong Kong. Okay? So he does know how stuff works over there, and he's still effed up bad. Keep this in mind. That are coming out this year that I'm looking forward to, movies that are coming out this year that I aren't so hot for, as it were, and movies that I'm kind of iffy about. Mainly we're going to be focusing here on superhero movies because, sorry, Laura knows there's a lot of them coming out. So, okay, the first being the Avengers. Now, this I have to see whether I'm for it or not, simply because it's going to be a part of history. This is the first time there's been a massive, actual, arranged team up of a team of superheroes ever. I mean, it's not a case of crossovers or anything like that, where it's just all of a sudden these two are jammed into a situation together. This was all actually building up and leading up to this film. It's one of the first actual major crossovers in history in terms of multi-character for multiple films. Each character pretty much has their own film franchise. There's going to. Likely, I mean, Iron Man had it before, and these other characters are likely to have one after. Now that's not to say that I think this is going to be necessarily amazing. I have my drawbacks. First of all, I'm not liking Mark Ruffalo. Okay, I've never been a big fan of his, and the fact that they're replacing Edward Norton with him in the role of Bruce Banner. I mean, couldn't they have at least tried to find someone who, looked like him remotely? I mean, is that really too much to ask? They get someone who is pretty much the diametric opposite of the guy, tan skinned, dark, kind of wavy looking hair. I mean, clean shaved. Whatever. Anyways, I did think Ed Norton nailed that part, and I think that what they did to him was BS. Especially the way they smeared him afterward. But, what are you going to do? The second is that it's directed by Joss Whedon. Now, Joss Whedon, very, very hit and miss man. He's a very hit and miss man. Some of what he creates is a big hit. Other stuff is just a huge flop. Then you have the other stuff that's mysteriously canceled for one reason or another, even though it was doing rather well. Could be because it picked up just slower than they wanted. Could be because they didn't like where it was going. Could be because of, heck, politics. Hollywood execs don't really need a reason to do what they do. Sometimes. So long as they can justify it with shareholders, well, there's job safe. Now, that is to say, he's done a couple of things I like and a couple of things I don't. So, overall, that has me a little worried because I've been a little bit less impressed with his work rather than more. But we'll see. We shall see. Now, moving on to The Dark Knight Rises. How do I say this? I don't really have a whole lot of faith in this one. The first two were actually relatively accurate to their source, considering the fact that they're based on graphic novels. This, I don't know what it's basing it on, but they're just pulling pages out of everywhere, it seems. Definitely looks a lot less like The Dark Knight Rising and a lot more like a final showdown. There's even rumors that Nolan won't confirm or deny that he might actually kill Batman in this movie. I tend to think probably not, but then again, it's the end of his trilogy, and whatever comes after this is going to be a complete reboot anyways, so he could. Who knows, if he thinks it's worth drama points. And that's what I mean. See, the problem is, this is Nolan's last hurrah, and Nolan knows it's Nolan's last hurrah, and Nolan knows that whatever the heck comes after this, they're just going to reboot it anyway. So Nolan has pretty much been given the license to do whatever the frick he wants. And it's kind of showing. I mean, that's not to say that the guy's not normally an accurate director, and that's why this upsets me. I don't know if he's, upset about it, or what. I don't know. But, he just seems to be playing on it a lot more loose with this movie. That's not to say I don't think it's going to be a good film. I do think that as a film, it will be great. But, yeah, I think he's going to be kind of slipping in the accuracy department on this one. Still, at least it's a better Bane than what we got in Batman and Robin. Holy. Yeah. Okay, now the next one that I'm obscenely looking forward to is, The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, so many people try to crap on this movie based on a trailer, and based on the fact that, oh my god, there's actually a scene where he's not smiling. Ooh. Because, the guy who had his parents just abandon him and disappear into nowhere and constantly gets bullied in school, and his father figure is old enough to almost to be his grandpa. Yeah, he's got no reason to be remotely upset or depressed. None at all. None. How dare he? That selfish little bastard. I mean, really, people. Really? Really? Do you forget Spider-Man's origin? Do you forget the fact that Spider-Man was, directly responsible for his uncle's death? Stan Lee's origin for Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy 15 was actually quite dark. The revamps of it have always been dark. He does have a very dark origin story. Excuse me. And so, what is this going to be? Well, it's going to be kind of dark. They released the official synopsis for the movie, too. Dr. Connors is essentially going to be part of his investigation into what happened to his parents because he's also a former colleague of his father's, a former partner, and an old friend. And that's another thing the fanboys are already pitching a fit about because, oh my god, that was never in the comics, except, when it sort of was. They're scientists in the scientific community, so the odds of them actually working together aren't that low. They're in they if they're going by the ultimate version, they research in generally close to the same fields. Um, that is medical. Connors was in fact researching with Blizzard DNA for the purpose of regenerating lost limbs. Um, let's see here. What else? There's just of all the things. I mean, these are the people that were okay with Doc Ock being controlled by his freaking arms. Okay, and they're gonna nitpick on this. So I don't put much stock into that, but it does look like it's going to be interesting. It does look like they're not going to just jump straight into the villain this time. They're actually going to develop things out. All this stuff that's going to happen is going to happen during the course of the investigation to figure out what happened to his parents. Um, there's been speculation about whether or not Gwen's actually going to die in this movie, Gwen Stacy. I don't think she is. I really don't, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. Hmm. And then there's well, let's see here. We have some confirmation from people who actually saw footage at Comic Con that Spider-Man is in fact going to be cracking the jokes quite frequently. Um, I mean, people just because the storyline's dark doesn't necessarily mean the character's dark. You know, I mean, a dark story can still have comic relief. That's, you know, well, for example, Full Metal Alchemist. It's got some rather dark, mature themes, and yet it still has some characters that are pretty, you know, funny, sarcastic, witty. So, don't think that just because it's got a darker tone overall means that the character all of a sudden is going to become moody, broody, and, well, emo. Especially considering in the last series of films he actually did become emo, and yet we pine for those for some reason. I don't know. Also, supposedly coming out this year is Superman. Now, I've heard that the date's still tentative for that. It's supposed to come out like late summer or fall of this year. Um, Either way, I'm looking forward to it because it'd be nice to see Superman get an actual good movie for a change. Yes, I'm sorry, guys. I don't think the Richard Donner film or the sequel, either his cut or the original theatrical cut, were any good. I was not blown away by them. I don't want to say they're horrible movies. They're just not good. You know. Um, I didn't find them that compelling. There's that gigantic plot hole in the end of part one, wherein he's somehow not fast enough to capture two missiles, and yet he flies around the Earth fast enough to rotate it backwards, which somehow backs up time, no less. And and at the speed he's going, he easily would have lapped those missiles about 3 times. So there's some weak spots there, and it's just one of those things. Anyways, I'm looking forward to it. Zack Snyder has shown that he's pretty darn good when it comes to adapting a comic book, and so I'm very much looking forward to what he does here. I'm not gonna nitpick about the suit. I mean, I'm not gonna complain just because the man actually learned to wear his underwear on the inside this time. And as for likes and not likes, I can't really say because I don't really know a whole lot about it. I haven't been able to find too much on it. I'm sure that someone's going to hear that then and send me a whole crap load of links. But, you know, whatevs. Also, um, one other movie that I'm looking forward to, which I guess you could class as a superhero, but at the same time not. Well, it's a hero movie anyway. Oddly enough, G.I. Joe 2. Yes. Why? Because it actually looks like it might have a coherent plot, a decent storyline, actually good characters, so on and so forth, etc., etc. Yes, the sequel. That's the sequel to the G.I. Joe film, the generic cliche crapfest directed by the guy who brought us The Mummy, might be outdone by the sequel, which, according to logic, is supposed to be worse, but might actually be outdone by the sequel, directed by the man who brought us the Justin Bieber theatrical experience. Soak that in, please. Please do. Okay, but yeah, I'm not gonna have too high hopes for it. It just looks entertaining. I don't know if I'm even gonna waste money at the theater or just wait for it to come out on DVD or something. But yeah, I think that's it so far for this year. At any rate, let me know what you're looking forward to down there and why you think I'm an idiot if you do, which I'm sure many of you do. At any rate, see ya.